Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome back to episode 2 of Europa Universalis IV as England, playing the Common Sense expansion. Just waiting for a few things to trigger before I do anything else really. We're going to have the War of the Roses coming in the not too distant future. We may also end up getting dragged into a war down on the continent. If that happens, I probably won't get too involved. I'm just hoping both things don't trigger at the same time. Now, the War of the Roses does progress on rather quickly. It goes up plus 3.5% chance of it popping every single month. Although I think that War of the Roses isn't a percentage chance of it popping per month, like a lot of the rebellions are. Because the way most uprisings work, we don't actually have any, so we can't really see them. But the way most uprisings work is they have a percentage chance to pop each month. I don't think that's the case with the War of the Roses. The War of the Roses is technically a disaster, not a rebellion. So we're 40% of the way. When it's 100%, it will go ahead and pop. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our army into one of these regions. We're going to move them into Yorkshire because Yorkshire is the only place that can actually take the army weight currently. And then we will put up our army maintenance. I'll probably wait until it gets to maybe 80%, something like that. And we'll put the maintenance up there. So we're still making some good money. We're making 6 ducats a month. We may well need to get some mercenaries later on. Especially when we go to war against France. Because the big problem with France is always that they have massive manpower. Not to mention just downright better military. If we go ahead and have a look at England. We have 34k with 19k manpower. France have the same amount of actually have less troops, wow, but they do have significantly more manpower. Also remember, France usually starts with some damn good generals. Yeah, look at that, they've got a 4-4-1-3 general leading that army. Not sure where their second army is, because that's definitely not the full stack. And of course bear in mind that they will have some allies and vassals in the war with them as well. So what can we get here? Absenteeism. Given its great influence over the politics of our country, it would be easy to assume that all MPs attended parliamentary sessions with great enthusiasm, eager to do the most with the power they have been trusted with. This is, however, far from the case in any given parliament. There will be some that never show up, either because they are still enjoying their estates in the countryside, or because they decide to partake in many of the joys of the capital. The problem has grown more and more lately, and we fear foreign dignitaries are laughing at us behind our backs. There are a number of measures that might be taken to increase attendance, but none that the current MPs would take very kindly to. So we could gain some ducats, and Wessex and Kent would oppose our debate in Parliament. But we'd also gain some unrest in Kent and Wessex. Or we can do nothing and lose 10 prestige. Well, we don't have a lot of prestige to begin with, but I do want the base tax. I'm just going to take the hit to prestige. Another thing that's worth noting with England, there's a new monarchy type now, or a new government type, which is the English monarchy. It's a very specific one now, the English monarchy. And that gives us -1 to our national unrest. It actually gives us plus 0.5 yearly legitimacy, and it gives us a 0.1 monthly autonomy change as well. Plus there's also a -5 national focus cooldown. So if we want to change our national focus, we can do it 5 years earlier each time. And, of course, another thing, remember, starting as England, you start with Henry VI, who is, like, the crappiest leader ever in the game, who is a 000 with no heir. But that's all part of the War of the Roses, really, so we can't do an awful lot about that. Ships, haven't had a look at those. Can we build any more ships? We could actually build significantly more ships. We should probably go ahead and we should probably go ahead and grab that. Now, we've got the Lollard Heresy here, and this one's a little bit of a pain, especially as we have this mission to try and suck up to the Pope. So the Lollards were a heretical group following the theological teaching of John Wycliffe. Popular protests against the wealth, power and pride of the clergy were frequent, and in times of disorder would express themselves in an extreme form. They had been persecuted several times during the 14th century, and in their last appearance was in the early 15th century. So we can either let them be, which means we gain a 5% Catholicism reform desire, which isn't too bad, because I think later on in the game we might actually flip over to Protestant and use some of their... is it Protestant or Reformed that gets the change now? I think it might be Reformed. I'll have to double check that now. I can't remember. But we will lose yearly papal influence. At the same time, the Pope's opinion of us will change by -50. So will France's and Burgundy's, which I don't care about, and so will Brittany's, which could be a little bit of a pain. But what are the options? The options are to get opposing the Lollards, which would basically give us plus 20 local unrest in every province, and it would also give us a 0.1 monthly autonomy change in every province, which isn't all that terrible, because as I've just mentioned, we actually get from our government type we actually get a minus 0.1 local autonomy change. So that would actually just stop that from going up. The problem is it doesn't say how long... I'll just say how long it lasts. Until 66, so 20 years. That's 20 years of local unrest. I think we can possibly try and take that for now. It's such a difficult choice to take. I don't really want to get... I don't need the reform desire. Normally I go let them be. This time I'm going to go stop the heretics. At this point I'm definitely going to go ahead and put up my army maintenance. We'll still be making money. And it also means now that we get that instant boost with the papacy, which completes our mission, which is really, really nice. So we can try and improve our relations with Provence. That's not a bad idea. Theoretically, don't need to improve my relations with Provence, but it can't hurt to have improved relations with them. We're not going to get an actual an alliance or a royal marriage or anything like that with them. We're just improving relations. We're not doing anything we shouldn't be. Now, I was saying that I would like to get some more ships for my trade fleet. That is certainly true. Going to build them slowly, little by little. I don't want to overspend. But we can have 6 more ships. I think if we can get sort of 4 more lights. Wow, some of these places take a long time to build. 3 and 4. If we get 4 more lights, then that'll give us a nice round 15 that we can use for our... trade fleet. There are a little few fights going on over here, nothing we need to worry about. Request for military access from Munster. Let's say yes. So these guys are going to go ahead and fight each other, which isn't really a big problem. We'll be able to take them over at some point sooner or later. So let's just keep our eye on the War of the Roses. We're currently up to 71 and a bit percent, 71 and change. So I've got the game on speed 4 at the moment, just trying to hurry things along until something happens. Can we improve any more there in Castile? We can. Might as well leave you there. There's no huge hurry to bring you out. Our maximum manpower is 26k. So I thought it was already capped there because it was at such a nice round number, but no, it is still going up a little bit. What are we up to now on War of the Roses? 85%. It's definitely going to fire soon. So what we want to do here is to try and get this event triggered and get it finished. The sooner we can do that, the better. It means we can allow our manpower to recover, and we'll be in a much better position to actually attack or defend against France. So a couple more months and this will tick over. So that will put us at 99.5%. I'm going to start to slow things down a little bit. Well, we might as well go until we get towards the end of February. So when February triggers, it should start the War of the Roses, and then we're going to have to decide who we want to back. So I'm going to do a little bit of a gamey trick here. So it should pop at the end of the month. There we go, the War of the Roses. So Henry VI of Lancaster has suddenly died, as the nation mourns two junior branches of the old House of Plantagenet, the House of Lancaster and the House of York. Both claim to be the rightful heir to the throne of England. Sporadic fights between the supporters have already broken out in a number of provinces around the country. Their heraldic symbols, a red rose and a white rose, have already become synonymous with the conflict, now commonly known as the War of the Roses. So we can support House Lancaster. And I do love how he actually says that it would be Edgar the First of Lancaster and Henry the Seventh of York. That's actually the wrong way round, because Henry the Seventh was actually Henry Tudor, and Henry Tudor was from House Lancaster, and the English pretender was Richard Plantagenet, which is Richard III, who is actually our general. So it's quite a confusing thing. But anyway, forgetting the historical inaccuracies for a moment, we can either back a 445 ruler or a 036 ruler. Well, we've got 036 isn't very well rounded, and it's 9 points. Whereas this one over here is, what's that? Why do you always have a mental math block? 13. 13 against 9 is obviously no contest, really. And it's nice and well rounded. So assuming that we want to go and support Lancaster, that means the rebels... Oh, the rebels are actually going to rise up in Essex. That's interesting. I honestly thought they were going to rise up in... maybe it's because I'm actually standing in... Right, okay, let's move down there. Hopefully these guys can get there before this pops. We should get down there really quickly just because we have so much manoeuvre. Now, will it actually change where it pops? Yeah, they'll rise up in Yorkshire. The clever bastards. So what they've now done is they've changed this event, or they've changed the way events work. Usually when you knew you were going to get a rebel pop, you just stand a load of men in the... You just stand a load of men in the province and then just attack there. Now, where do we have a river crossing from? Derby, Lincoln, Lancashire, Cumbria and Northumberland. So wherever we come in from, we're going to get a river crossing. So that's a real pain. So, okay, let us go and support House Lancaster then. And the rebels pop there, which is a real pain. So we are going to go in. They do have a leader. He has 2 manoeuvre. We do have slightly better manoeuvre. We should... I hope, win this fight. We are going to get the crossing penalty. It is farmlands, which is not too bad for us. That's a real pain. I'm glad that they've tried to remove some of the gamey elements. We actually took a massive hit to morale just walking in there. They have massive base morale compared to us. Obviously, we're getting some royal marriage offers now because the War of the Roses has fired. And we're actually losing this fight. We're getting some pretty terrible rolls, which isn't helping. But they also have a much higher base morale. That's going to cause some problems. What we're going to do now, very quickly, is we are going to build all mercenaries. We don't actually have the money to build all mercenaries, which is a little bit of a shame. So let's go ahead and build as many mercenaries as we can. So we're actually going to retreat from here. When can we retreat? 25th of March, so we'll retreat tomorrow. So we are going to lose that fight. It doesn't matter too much here. Remember what we've got going on at the moment. It's not actually a war as such. So we're not losing war score by retreating from that fight. Just trying to save a little bit of manpower and recover. Let's get a royal marriage with Portugal. Now, we can designate Calais as a stable port. Well, I think we should certainly do that. We'll gain 10 mercantilism. We'll lose some admin power, but we'll also get some local trade power and local tax modifier. And Flanders will hate us a little bit, but nobody cares about that. So we're definitely going to go and take that. Now, I have done a fair bit of damage to these guys. So, soldiers desert. War exhaustion in the form of plague and starvation is not only affecting the civilian population, but our armed forces as well. And the number of deserters keeps growing. So, we can either say there's nothing we can do and lose 6,500 manpower, which is pretty much half of what we've got. Or we can import food from abroad, which will give us a minus 25% national tax modifier for 5 years. Or we can let them take food from the local peasants, which will increase national unrest by +2 and will increase the monthly autonomy change by 0.05 for 5 years. I think can we soak that? Can we soak that national unrest in? That is the question. Our national unrest is already -2. We've got the Lollard heretics that may still pop, which is going to be problematic. They will go away eventually. I don't really want to lose all the manpower. The legitimacy is not a big problem. Not too bothered about the money right now. We are going to be losing a little bit of money, but as soon as this war finishes, we'll make it back. I certainly don't want to lose the manpower, because I think that is one of the biggest problems that you generally face as England. We are taking a little bit of attrition here, but I'm going to grab these regiments. We're going to form back up, and we're going to try and dive on them again. It does suck that they actually start with higher base morale, but there's not an awful lot that I can do about that. So how quickly are we reinforcing? Wow, we're still down quite a few men. So, declaration for the York Pretenders. The nobility of one of our provinces has long been divided over the War with the Roses, and now there are further nobles proclaiming for House York. So, Kent, Wessex and London get +10 local unrest for another 10 years. Well, that's a little bit crap. We've automatically taken out a loan. We'll just make sure we can get the rest of these guys in. We really need to try and kill these guys off as quickly as possible here. So, I think we'll move everybody in. We'll group them up. We will wait until the end of May so we get another reinforcement tick. I appreciate we're actually getting attrition here at the moment because of where we're standing. They're actually about to relocate, which we don't want. So let's go ahead and dive on them now. They're going to change on the 26th of June. In fact, we've already engaged. I was just about to say I'm actually not going to take that engagement. We'll let them move because I still didn't have full morale. Once again, I've taken a bit of a beating there. But we should actually get them down fairly low. So Connaught is now declaring war on Tyrone. We may well lose this battle, but they're going to take heavy losses, I think. Yeah, we did actually lose that. Surprisingly, not by much. But they've got nothing left. They're actually moving to Essex. Now, our army is now broken, but if I go ahead and stick my army in Essex, before those guys get there, when are they getting there? They are getting there on the 9th of August. How long would it take us to get to Essex? We would get there on the 26th of July. Now, would that stop their movement, or would they move somewhere else? It still says they're moving to Essex. We will get a morale tick. We will have, if they still move to Essex, then we will be the defender. So this might actually work out for us. Now, what was the date again? The 17th of August. 15th, 16th, 17th. There we go. Oddly enough, they didn't actually get a penalty, even though technically we are the defender. They also have, they're very cavalry heavy, so their front line has pretty much just been destroyed. We should win this now, they've got nothing left. There we go. We took a lot of heavy losses there. Let's go ahead and unsiege that. We're going to break off all of the mercenaries. And the mercenaries, I think we will get rid of right now. We disband the mercenaries. 7 Pretender regiments revolt in Gascogne. That is a little bit of a pain because we don't really have an easy way of getting down there. I'm going to go ahead and just turn this fort back on. And that might help out a little bit. We're going to go and unsiege over here. While we're unsieging, we're going to go and grab our transports. And we are going to unmothball them so we can get some men down there. Support for Lancaster. Local support for Lancaster in the War of the Roses keeps growing among the people as peasants and nobles alike rally to our banner. So Normandy gets local support, reducing its local unrest, and so does Co. Well, that's fantastic, but it's not helping. It's not helping this issue down here, is it? Really? Now they are having to try and siege out a fort now because we did turn it up just in time, so that's going to help a little bit. We've got the rest of these light ships. Let's go ahead and just select all of the ships here. And we will grab the lights. We don't want those. So there's the 4 lights. We're going to move you all to Norfolk. We'll move them all to Norfolk, we'll group them together, and then we will attach them to our trade fleet. So we should siege this out in a single tick, because there's no fort there. And then we're going to get on the boats, and we're going to go down and deal with these guys down here. We should be able to do that. Yep, so we've now occupied Yorkshire. The Siege of Labor is over, really? They managed that already? Okay, fine. So, you guys, group together. You are going to go home at war and protect trade in the English Channel. You guys are going to move down to London. And we're going to put you on the boat and drop you off over there. We are still a little bit weak, but we do have massive numbers. So that should help us quite nice. Personal union on Monarch death. You are at the risk of becoming the junior partner in a personal union. When Edgar I of Lancaster dies, the following will happen. Succession war between Castile and England. Well, we don't want that to happen, but there are still a few more events that could and should fire before that happens. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get our entire army on our transports here. And the transports don't need to be fully... the transports don't need to be fully repaired, because we are just dropping off. So we're only going to be able to drop off a 9 stack. But providing they don't attack us, what we'll do is we'll go back and we will fetch some more. I'm just going to go up to speed 3. Improve relations with Provence, we have now done. Let us recall you from Provence then. And what should we take as our next mission? Our manpower needs to recover. It certainly does. I'm not too sure how easy that is going to be, certainly while the War of the Roses is still going on. If we end up getting weakened, then there's every chance that they may decide that they're going to... the French or Burgundy or somebody may declare on us. Just going to go and pick these guys up from Wessex because it's a little bit closer. Well, there we go. We actually now have an heir to the throne, which means the succession is safe. And that should have actually ended the War of the Roses disaster now. No, apparently the War of the Roses is still going on. It ends when fewer rebel-controlled provinces fewer rebel-controlled provinces than 1 and stability at least 1. So we need to improve our stability, which we will be able to do very shortly, and we also need to make sure that there are no rebel-controlled provinces. Well, unfortunately, there is still a rebel-controlled province right there. Can we afford to boost our stability? No, we can't. We need 110 admin power. We are going to want to do that as soon as possible, mainly because it helps reduce some of the revolt risk, which is going to be good. We've also got a very realistic chance of getting some Lollards pop at some point, so we do need to keep our eye on that happening. Still only at 50%, 1.9 years. That should be enough time to get down here and deal with all this crap going on with the War of the Roses. So 17-7, they are very outnumbered. We do have a better general. They do have the better base morale as always. And of course, we instantly roll a 0 to the AI's 9 because that's the way this game works. So let's go and make sure we win that fight, which I think we will. So there we go. We've actually won that battle. We'll unsiege that province. Nobles disgruntled. The nobles have so far stood by the crown during the War of the Roses, expecting to be generously rewarded. But there is a growing opinion among many of them that there has so far been little recognition of their loyalty. So we can either lose 56 ducats, or we can get +1 local unrest in Normandy for 5 years. We'll just take the local unrest, I don't really care. Actually, amazingly enough, those guys are actually survived. So let's just go back and ruffle stomp them. There we go, now they're dead. But we do have to unsiege this province, which is now problematic, of course, because it has a... now we've got more pretender regiments popping up. So annoying. But yeah, we've got the issue over here that we actually have a fort. I mean, it was our fort... I don't think we can... Yeah, we can't untick that at the moment because we don't have control of it. And we've got a lot of our men down here. But what I'm going to do is I am going to detach a siege and move the rest of the guys back. We don't need to have everybody down there in order to de-siege that. And then we'll go up and deal with these guys. But that's a good place to end the video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying EU4 as England. And I'll see you next time. So until then, Goodbye for now.